Have you ever noticed how someone suddenly pulls away the moment you stop chasing them? Picture this unsettling scenario. You finally find your peace. You stop the endless texting, the constant worry, the desperate attempts to get their attention. You discover a strange calm within yourself. But then something unexpected happens. The person who seemed so comfortable with distance, who thrived on your anxiety and pursuit, suddenly becomes restless. They start reaching out more. They seem almost threatened by your newfound serenity. This phenomenon reveals why your calmness is the biggest threat to an avoidant. When you stop playing their familiar game of push and pull, when you no longer react with the predictable panic they have grown accustomed to, their entire emotional system goes into alert mode. Your tranquility disrupts their carefully constructed world where they maintain control through your chaos. Understanding this dynamic changes everything about how you approach relationships with emotionally distant people. The psychology behind this reaction involves something called reactance and social comparison bias, two powerful forces that make your peaceful demeanor feel dangerous to someone who has built their identity around avoiding intimacy while keeping others at arm's length. Learning about these patterns helps you recognize when someone's attachment style is driving their behavior rather than their actual feelings about you. If you want to better understand someone's attachment style, see the link in the description to one of the most popular books on attachment theory. There once lived a woman named Rebecca who worked at a bustling marketing firm in the heart of Manhattan. She had been dating Marcus for 8 months, and their relationship followed a predictable pattern that left her feeling constantly on edge. Marcus would be warm and attentive for a few days, then disappear for weeks without explanation. Rebecca found herself checking her phone obsessively, crafting the perfect casual text messages and analyzing every interaction for signs of his interest or withdrawal. Like Blair Waldorf from Gossip Girl plotting her next social maneuver, Rebecca strategized every move, hoping to crack the code of Marcus's affection. The more she pursued, the more he retreated. The more anxious she became, the more comfortable he seemed with their dynamic. This dance continued until one particularly difficult Tuesday when Rebecca received news that her father had been hospitalized. Suddenly, Marcus's hot and cold behavior seemed trivial compared to real-life concerns. She stopped texting him first. She stopped wondering where he was or what he was thinking. Her energy shifted entirely toward her family and her own well-being. Days passed without her usual anxiety about their relationship status. She felt surprisingly peaceful, focused on what truly mattered. Then something strange began to happen. Marcus started calling more frequently. He began showing up at her office with coffee. He asked personal questions about her life, her family, her dreams. The man who had seemed allergic to emotional intimacy was suddenly pursuing her with an intensity that felt almost desperate. Like Joe Goldberg from the Netflix series You, becoming obsessed when his target loses interest, Marcus seemed unable to handle Rebecca's newfound emotional independence. He complained that she seemed distant. He accused her of playing games. The very behaviors he had exhibited for months now felt intolerable when she displayed them. Rebecca realized that her calm had somehow become threatening to him. Her peace disrupted his sense of control, his familiar patterns, his comfort zone of keeping her anxiously attached while he maintained emotional distance. The relationship ended 3 weeks later when Marcus declared that Rebecca had become too unpredictable, too hard to read, too emotionally unavailable. Understanding why your calmness threatens an avoidant requires examining 2 key psychological concepts. First, reactance theory explains that people have a fundamental need for freedom and autonomy. When avoidant individuals perceive that their control over emotional distance is being challenged, they experience psychological reactance. Your calm behavior disrupts their ability to predict and control the relationship dynamic. They are accustomed to your anxiety serving as a pressure release valve for their own discomfort with intimacy. When you stop providing that anxious energy, they must confront their own emotional avoidance, which feels deeply uncomfortable. Think of Camille from Emily in Paris, maintaining careful control over her relationships until someone refuses to play by her rules. Social comparison bias also plays a crucial role. Avoidant people constantly measure themselves against others to maintain their self-image as independent and emotionally strong. Your displays of genuine emotional stability force them to confront their own emotional limitations. When you demonstrate real peace rather than anxious attachment, they can no longer position themselves as the more emotionally mature person in the relationship. This comparison threatens their self-concept and triggers defensive behaviors. To navigate these dynamics effectively, focus on maintaining your own emotional regulation regardless of their reactions. Recognize that their discomfort with your calmness reflects their own attachment insecurities, not any failure on your part. Avoid the temptation to return to anxious behaviors just to restore their comfort level. This only reinforces unhealthy patterns and prevents both people from growing. Instead, communicate clearly about your needs and boundaries while remaining compassionate about their struggle with intimacy. Remember that you cannot heal someone else's attachment wounds through your own emotional dysregulation. Their discomfort with your peace is actually a sign that you are on the right path toward healthier relationship dynamics. Practice self-care consistently, especially when they begin pushing against your boundaries or trying to recreate familiar chaos. Document your feelings and observations so you can recognize patterns and stay grounded in reality when they attempt to gaslight you about the relationship dynamics. Seek support from trusted friends or professionals who can help you maintain perspective during challenging moments. Your journey toward emotional health and secure attachment does not require anyone else's permission or comfort. The person who feels threatened by your calmness reveals more about their own emotional limitations than about your worthiness of love and respect. Like a lighthouse standing firm against turbulent waves, your consistent peace becomes a beacon that either guides others toward growth or illuminates their unwillingness to do the inner work required for genuine intimacy. Understanding these attachment dynamics empowers you to make conscious choices about your relationships rather than remaining trapped in unconscious patterns that drain your energy and compromise your well-being. Moving forward, trust your instincts when someone seems more interested in your anxiety than your joy, more comfortable with your chaos than your peace. Choose relationships with people who celebrate your emotional growth rather than feeling threatened by it. Remember that healthy love feels safe, consistent, and supportive of your highest good. Your calmness is not a threat to the right person. It is a gift that creates space for real intimacy, authentic connection, and mutual growth. The people who cannot handle your peace are simply showing you that they are not ready for the kind of love you have to offer. Thank them silently for this clarity and continue becoming the most emotionally healthy version of yourself. Your future self will thank you for choosing peace over chaos, growth over stagnation, and authentic connection over anxious attachment. The right relationships will honor and nurture the beautiful calm you have worked so hard to create.
Thank you for watching. If you want to learn how to better understand avoidance, relationships, and psychological biases, then subscribe to our channel, because you deserve beautiful relationships.